Hello.
Hello.
I want to ask, before I ask you about your long, awesome career that you've had, I was wondering how the last couple of years have been. I know you've been able to get some work done and release some stuff, but is it taking its toll on you?
Oh, big time. So the Shanghai Lows, which is like, I'm most active with the Dents and the Shanghai Lows right now. And the Shanghai Lows we've put out more music than the Dents have. But we're having a heck of a time playing live because of COVID, So there was COVID, and then I got injured, so we couldn't play one gig. And then Dan had to go in for surgery, and we had to cancel another gig. And now COVID's hitting another wave. And so the one gig we have scheduled probably won't happen, and it's really frustrating.
Your injury affected the Dents gig at Notch, because I was going to go to that show and I heard you guys canceled like a day or two before.
Yeah, so the one gig that I got to play was with the Shanghai Lows at the Midway and JP. I love that club, by the way. And I was so happy because, when you're a performing musician, nothing makes you happier, than doing that, And I was so elated. I had just gotten a brand new amp, and the show was great. It was so great to be on stage with those guys because we all like each other a lot. And I was like on cloud nine. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. I'm going to stay safe and, limit my time. And so I brought my new awesome amp out and I could carry it. So I'm, trucking down and it was dark, and I hit a hole in the sidewalk. And I took a Dixie and screwed up my, I must have bruised ribs or something like that. It was really bad though. I couldn't hold the guitar,
Yeah, I heard about Craig told me about that, actually, Craig Adams. So I want to go all the way back here because are you originally from Boston? Did you grow up? Where did you grow up?
In Plymouth.
Oh, Plymouth, South Shore.
Yeah.
For people around the world that listen, that's like south of Boston. That's an interesting place to grow up.
Yeah, like literally down the street from the Mayflower and the Plymouth Rock and the whole bit.
Rock.
Yeah, the Rock.
And you became a rocker.
Yeah.
And I know that the Downbeat Five was your first band, and I saw the Downbeat Five several times. And starting with someone like JJ Rassler, how did that all come together?
Man, that's probably like, he is responsible for like my entire musical career, because I met him at Rounder Records, and how you meet somebody and it's like, hallelujah, like you found your people,
Right.
So I grew up in Plymouth, and I just thought that I was weird, like I didn't fit in with anybody. And then, so I'm 24 and I meet JJ Rassler, and we get to talking, and it was like, oh, I'm not weird. I just didn't have my people around me, So, and he taught me so much about like bust and rock and Latin music and all kinds of stuff. And he's still just like one of my best friends ever. But we got married, and he was, at the time, he was communicating with Joe King from the Queers.
Right.
And they were writing together for what was to become that, that record that had the Beach Boys cover on it.
Right.
And I got really jealous because I had taught myself music and sang and wrote music ever since I was a kid, but never really did anything with it. And I said, hey, wait a minute, like I do that too. And he said, oh yeah, well, if you want to do this, you have to front the band. And I'm like, what? Because I just wanted to play guitar, so he made me sing. And then I got to writing, and I, found out that I was okay at it, and
You
And
guys
that,
were really good. That was a really
oh,
good band.
thanks.
I saw you guys many times. Um, Before, I should have asked you this before that, but were you like into girl groups and garage rock when you were growing up and went and because it seems to me that would be your influences, like the
Yeah,
girl
like,
group.
yeah, and I didn't even know that it was garage rock. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I just naturally gravitated towards stuff like early Animals. And when it came to the Beatles, I like the early stuff and early Kinks and, all of that stuff that really is the foundation for what, garage rockers love, And so I didn't I didn't know about the next generation of that stuff, which is all the stuff that I learned with JJ, but I loved girl group music. Like ever since I was a kid, I knew
Like
all the
Ronnie
words.
Spector and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah. I mean, when my friends were listening to Black Flag, I was listening to the oldies station, So
Nice.
I still didn't fit in with those people, So it was like, but it was just so nice to know that there were other people out there with the same influences. Like when I heard that the New York Dolls were fans and Blondie were fans of the Shangri-Las, it's like, oh my God, I'm actually kind of cool, I guess. Maybe,
The Downbeat Five, and even more so the Dents, that wave, there was a wave of garage that hit in the early 2000s, and you were right in the middle of that. So your timing on that with those bands was great.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to cover with you, so I'm gonna move quickly here. The Dents got really popular really quickly, and I believe it was around 2003, 2004. And I had Craig Adams on my show. He came on with another band, Lovely, but we ended up talking about the Dents. You guys got off to a really good start, and I remember I think you recorded with Ed first, a single or something. And then on Time for Biting, you had like Ed and Dave Minahan and Richard Moore. It's like you
Yeah.
created three better guys together. That must have been awesome for you to get your band rolling like that.
Yeah, it was really cool because I had only known Downbeat Five. And so like the Dents for me was kind of like the next level. It was, hey, I can do, I can do music with more than just one band. Like I have range, So, and I've just been so lucky because who the hell starts their music career with JJ Rassler? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
right there, I feel like I cheated, So I started with JJ, and then like Michelle had already had a pretty rich history, so she had the decals,
Yeah.
and she had been playing with the Real Kids and stuff like that. And so she had already made a name for herself, and she had a pretty good reputation. And like when I think of JJ and Michelle and people like that, they're like, their personalities, like really strong personalities and social, and they know a bunch of people. And I have always felt like so lucky because I am so not that,
How did you
like,
first get hooked up with Ed? Because Ed, I think he told me that the Dents was one of the first bands he produced, because he was doing all this stuff at Q, but he had never produced a band. And I think, am I right? Were the Dents the first band?
it very well could have been. I mean, I know that he was just getting off the ground. And when we first met, we were working on, well, when we first met, I was actually trying to manage a band called The Gravy. Do you know The Gravy?
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Yeah, with Todd Spar from the Cave Dogs. And then the second time I really met him was with the whole recording the Dents. And so he was starting that process for himself. Like I remember watching him work on Jules Verdon's recordings at home and stuff like that. So that's been a really cool thing to witness as like, you know, an acquaintance and then a friend and then his wife, you know, like his career, you know, that's in my friends' careers, you know, it's really cool to be witness to all of that, you know.
I remember, I worked in the record industry my whole life, like JJ did. I was in California, but the thing that we used to always say is you have to surround yourself with talent, and you did a great job. You surrounded yourself with all these talented people. That's what you have to do in the music business. And not
Yeah,
to say you're not talented, because you obviously are, but like the point I was making about with Ed and Minahan and Richard, all those guys working on one record, they all could do their own records, and they work.
yeah,
That was like, um, I'm going to I play Mistreatment on this show. And in 2018, you guys took a little bit of a break, the Dents, and then you got
yeah,
back together.
yeah,
And then you recorded in 2018, and it just came out last year,
yeah.
basically. Great stuff.
Thank you.
I played Want It Back, which Michelle sings on, I believe, right?
Yeah,
And Mistreatment, which you do. Those songs are really good. Is there
thanks.
are the Dents going to be, I know you got the Shanghai Lows, but are the Dents going to be something you're going to keep doing also?
Oh, yeah. Yep, absolutely. I mean, it may not be like the most active thing that we do at a point in time, you know, it's like, it's funny because we'll focus on it for a little bit and then we'll have other stuff going on, you know, because we always have other stuff going on. But well, I mean, we love the band and each other so much that we'll never give it up, you know. So we get into little writing spurts.
Yeah, I saw you guys when Gino was your drummer, way at
Yeah.
the beginning, and you guys
Yeah.
were like, you guys really, like I said, you were part of that new wave, excuse the term, of garage rock that came along around that time. There were a bunch of Boston bands like that, and the scene just, the Abbey Lounge scene, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
Um, Another band I saw that I thought you really flourished in was Jenny D and the Delinquents. I saw you guys several times, and that goes back to the girl group thing. What a fantastic band.
Thank you.
I loved you. I saw you guys do this outdoor show once in Harvard Square, and you were fantastic. And I saw some club shows. Was that your main project for a while, or was that a
Yeah.
side project? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Maine for a while. I mean, that band did more than any of my other bands. We toured Spain. We played Fenway Park. You know, I mean,
You did.
yeah, we opened up for Jay Giles and Aerosmith at Fenway.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that band did so much. I mean, we played places I never thought we'd ever play, you know, and I mean, Downbeat Five, when I think of it, had those opportunities too, but in a different way. Like Jenny D got a little bit more mainstream opportunities, where Downbeat Five got really cool. Like we played Little Steven's show like years ago, you know, and opened up for, yeah, the Pretty Things and the Zombies, and you know, so I definitely don't take that for granted, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was cool because it was after the Dents went on hiatus and Michelle needed a break, and I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? You know, and so I had these ideas. I used to like walk to the T, and I would write in my mind as I was walking, and that's how the first 3 songs for the first Jenny D record came about. And I played him for Ed, and he's like, you got to do something with this, you know, and he put the band together. And I said, well, if we do this, I want to do it right. I want to have 2 female backup singers, and I want us to do the girl group moves and the whole bit, you know, and it just worked, and people really responded. I was lucky.
Was it that band that did the Shake Some Action cover? I know
Yeah.
you covered. Yeah, that was a really good cover. Yeah,
God,
that was
love that band.
one of my
Uh,
favorite songs.
Yeah.
Um, the Shanghai Lows. I mean, I remember I had Lee Harrington on my show, and he told me he had this other band. This was like a year and a half ago. He said he had this other band, and you guys hadn't recorded yet. And then when I heard it, I was like, I mean, it's Dan Kopko, Chuck Ferrera on drums, Lee Harrington. I worked with the Hoods for many years, so I'm a big Neighborhoods fan. What a I mean, you've been in really good bands. I mean, this band is like a super group, okay?
Steve,
I
it's all
mean,
by accident. I have no idea how I get to these things,
how did that happen?
It's really, it's like, I don't know. Like, so Dan asked me if I would want to sing a couple of songs at his Clash tribute. I had one of his Clash, tribute band gigs. And I'm like, yeah, I love the Clash.
The
And
Clash?
I said, yeah. And
Okay.
I said, but I have to do these songs, because these are my favorite. And he got mad because they were his favorites too. but he let me do them. But anyway, so after that, I thought I bombed. I thought it was horrible. But apparently I wasn't, because he's like, oh, we ought to do something together. And I'm like, yeah, we should. I'm not doing anything, and so I went over his house and we wrote together and we sang together and we're like, yeah, this kind of works. And we were trying to fill in the pieces, and we tried out another drummer who didn't work out. It just wasn't the right feel. And then we're like, well, we both love Chuck. He's in a million bands, but we'll give it a shot. And then we're trying to think of bass players. And of course, Ed pops up first, but I knew that he was busy and I wanted to try to have no like family in the band, because I had
You've married some musicians.
just two.
Just two. Well, two pretty good ones. But
Yeah. But so we're like, oh, what about I think he said, what about Lee Harrington? And I'm like, yeah, right. He's gonna say yes. And he did. I'm like, what? Okay.
yeah, I remember I saw I think the first time I heard a song was I watched the Sway Little Player video. Oh my God. I was
It's
like,
a good video, right?
nailed it. Who did that video?
Harry McCoy, Tim McCoy's brother.
Wow.
Yeah, he's awesome.
The video is just so retro and cool, and the way you use the old footage in there and everything.
He's so good.
I've played that on my show, and Skipping Records I also played on the show. It seemed like that band had a buzz from day one. Okay, that's Red on Red. I know you're on Rumbar and Red on Red, so I don't want to get them.
No, we're not on Red.
Oh, you're not?
No, we're only on Rumbar.
Oh.
Yeah, we did a showcase with Red on Red. Just, as
Lou's gonna get mad at me for saying that. I'm sorry, Lou.
Oh no, it's not even a getting mad situation. We're all friends, and
Right.
It's a really, really easy mistake to make, because it is like a big family. Like the kind of artists that are on Rumbar could be on Red and vice versa, so and Lou loves Justine and vice versa. So it's all family.
It is a family. It is, and that's what I really like about it. It seemed like back in the old days, Boston always had all these rivalries and everyone was always fighting with each other. But the Rumbar in the Red on Red thing is like very well connected,
Yes.
And I like that. So you did play one gig, you said, with the Shanghai Lows.
Yeah.
Is this a band you think you're going to take on the road, or is this going to be like more of a project type thing?
No, we really want to, we really, really do. I know it's hard for everybody to believe, but we really do want to play live. It's like we're now discussing canceling our next gig, which is supposed to happen in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, and the numbers, like I've got a daughter, Dan's got 2 daughters, and like I work at Tufts, and at Tufts, they just told us, hey, we don't want full staff in the office anymore, so we're splitting up the office again, and I have to get tested 3 times a week now there. And if they're taking it that seriously, I can't not take it seriously outside of that,
We all have to.
Yeah.
Crazy. Well,
Yeah.
maybe by the spring, we said that last year, but maybe this time we can get through it.
Yeah.
It seems like there's so many cases now that it's going to have to, herd immunity, I mean, it's like, it's going to have to happen. You also did a song with Kenya Raven, who's a legend.
Oh my God, I know.
Did you hook up with her?
Dude, this is like the weirdest thing. Like, I feel like you're bringing up all of the weirdest things, the weirdest, most wonderful things that have ever happened to me, It's like I heard through somebody that she was a big fan of mine, and she said that she loved my voice. My voice was one of her favorite voices. And I think she said it on a radio show. And we did like exchange emails and stuff. And I just couldn't, I mean, I still can't believe it. You know what I mean? And so she's a fan, and I'm a fan, and so she asked me if I would want to sing on that song, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course,
I listened to the track and I can't believe it, because she's 81 years old.
She's got the most rock voice. It's so cool, and to watch and to read about the stuff that she has accomplished. She's like, like she paved the way, basically,
Plus her connection with CBGBs and the Dead Boys is unbelievable.
I know.
I watched that CBGB movie not too
long
long
I did
ago,
too.
and they focused on that whole situation with Hilly and her pulling off the whole Dead Boys thing. That was really cool.
Yeah.
With all this other stuff going on in your life, I always ask my guests this: are you listening to any new music? Do you listen to a lot of new music, or you like still listening to old? I have a feeling you have a record player. You're probably like me, vinyl back there, So
yeah, we do have a record player, but to be quite honest, Ed listens to most of the vinyl, because like between work and then what I have to do at home, like being a mom, that comes first. And then like any music stuff that I have going on. And then there's like Girl Scouts and all that crap. But I listen to a lot of new music through my daughter, Sid. So she is a music lover. She loves it, and she will go seek it out, go seek out new music.
Spotify or TikTok?
Spotify and YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So she turned you on to any new bands?
She turned me on to, well, she's not new now, but I'm a huge Billie Eilish fan now because of her.
Still pretty new.
Yeah.
5 years, 6. She's only 19, I think, or 20.
It's crazy, but the music is really, really, really good. And Olivia Rodriguez.
Yes, I like Olivia Rodrigo. I actually like.
Oh, Rodrigo, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a lot of new music I listen to through her, and then I'll try to get like some recommendations on Spotify, like I'll go the extra when they start playing the song that's related, right. I'll have a listen.
So do you personally listen to older stuff when you listen to music, besides what your daughter's turning you on to?
Yeah, I mean, I do. And I'm kind of like rediscovering some old music. Like I'm on a wicked Beach Boys and Nielsen and solo George Harrison.
Wow.
Right now is kind of like my thing, because there's a lot of stuff that there are chords and melody lines and layers of things that that I'm discovering, like for the first time, that I maybe hadn't heard before, that I'm really interested in. Like I'm trying to figure out those chords, so maybe I could incorporate it into my writing or something.
Do you just basically play guitar? Do you ever play keyboards or bass or anything else too, or you just stick to the guitar?
I stick to the guitar. I sometimes write on a keyboard, which has been interesting. Like you can turn out a completely different sounding song when you write on a keyboard, you know. But I don't play. I could never get the left hand is doing something different than the right hand thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you constantly writing new music?
Well, in my head, yes. But so luckily, the good part about having ADD is that there's always something going on up there, but you have to remember to write it down or record it. You know, that's the thing.
Right.
But Dan would like me to write more. So I am writing, but not enough.
Talking about them for one more second here, because the combination of the people in the band, you know, Lee comes from the neighborhoods. They started as a punk band. They became more of a hard rock band. Chuck, I think, is he Eddie Japan? Is that the band?
Yeah.
Yep. And then Dan's and Watts, which is like a Cheap Trick hard rock band. And then
Yeah.
you from the girl group Garage. That's an interesting combo.
It really is. Yeah, it's like you've got a whole slew of stuff in there. Like, so Chuck has played with the Motels and
Wow, really? I love Mark
yeah.
Davis. That is really cool.
Yeah, and he plays with like Lonely Lisa, and he's got a new band called Devil Love, and Dan's got a new band that's getting some really good attention on Underground Garage called the Peppermint Kicks.
Oh yeah.
And Lee's got a duo thing with Linda, and I don't want to butcher her name, but you know,
yeah. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, it's just a really good blend because it's like I've got the Downbeat Five and Dents kind of voice that I have. It's a little rougher and a little lower that I can bring in sometimes on a song Plymouth Rock. So that one, I was like, yeah, I got to kind of stay true to my roots because that's what the song is about. You know what I mean? But it's neat because we all are kind of balancing the rock pop thing in it, you know, and it just works.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to see you guys play live. I've been very hesitant to go. I was going to some of those outside shows at Notch, but other than that, I still haven't been in a club in a long time. Just trying to be careful, you know.
Yeah.
Vaccinated, boosted, and all that. But look what's going on now around here. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
well, I'll keep you posted when we're playing live.
Yeah, good luck to you with everything you're doing. I think you've had a fabulous career. I've been following all along through all your bands. And
well, I've always been a fan of yours too, Steve. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, all right. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All
and
right.
Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.